So, how do we define meditation as we practice it here? In simple words, it is a method of using the mind to align the personality to one's soul, with the end goal of fusing ourselves with the divine nature within us. This type of meditation is based on the Raja Yoga system, which is the kingly yoga of the mind. This is safe, easy to learn, but it takes a lot of practice to master. Slowly but surely. The common notion about meditation is that it is a process of relaxation to go down to the alpha state of the brain. That is true if your only purpose is to unstress yourself. But if not, that is not the entire story. When we are in deep meditation, our brain goes to alpha or even theta, effortlessly. However, it is an effect, and not the goal to be achieved. It is like when sleeping. We do not snore to induce sleep, but we sometimes snore, as an outcome of deep sleep. Many people are also confused and asking if they are already practicing mindfulness. Do they still need to meditate? By our definition of meditation on the first slide, mindfulness is not really meditation. Mindfulness is commonly defined as the practice of purposely bringing one's attention to experiences occurring in the present moment without judgment. It is dispassionate observation. We can consider it as actually a skill that one develops through meditation or other forms of emotional or mental training. Mindfulness, which is also known as right mental alertness, originated as one of the Noble Eightfold Path in the religion of Buddhism to be free from law of karma to attain nirvana. But in some schools of Buddhism, this is also a preparatory stage for the practice of vipassana meditation. Mindfulness is also being widely used in psychotherapy as a technique to reduce stress, anxiety, depression, ADHD, and sometimes as a treatment for drug addiction and some other mental illness. Thus, it is widely adopted in hospitals, prisons, toxic workplaces, schools, and rehabilitation centers. It is also interesting to note that some social activists consider it as another form of social control to promote apathy to present socio-political realities and its historical precedents. To sum up, from our perspective, we view mindfulness both as preparatory stage to meditation practice, as well as an effective meditation which is conscious or mindful living. But is it not a formal meditation practice, or even spiritual path per se? We can see here two spiritual systems that are parallel to each other. They view mindfulness as a stage or preparation towards formal meditation practice. The Noble Eightfold Path of Buddhism outlines the practices to reach samadhi or the state of meditative union or contemplation. Right view or understanding, right speech, right livelihood, right action, right mental alertness or mindfulness, right effort, right thought, and finally, right contemplation or meditative union. On the other side is the 8 limbs or stages of the Raja Yoga system, developed by the sage Patanjali at around 400 BC. It consisted of yama or ethical and moral disciplines, niyama or personal observances, asanas or yogic postures, pranayama or breathing or control of vital energies, pratyahara or control of emotions and sense restraint. This corresponds to the right mental alertness or mindfulness in Buddhism, which aims to calm the emotions in observing one's experiences in the physical world. It is the human emotions that cloud clear thinking. Then comes dharana, or concentration, or the one-pointed control of the mind. Dhyana, or meditation proper, which is the fusion of the lower and higher mind through the creative use of thought. Then finally, samadhi, or contemplation, or the meditative union or integration of the soul and personality. the soul takes control of the mind, which has become the focal point of the personality. Now, let us go back to our main discussion on meditation.
For lack of better term, we will call our meditation as esoteric meditation, just for identification. In the books, Alice Bailey calls it occult meditation. But the word occult conjures different meanings in a lot of people. So in this system, we use our mind a lot. We do not make our mind blank, passive, or thoughtless. Our mind is a friend, and not an enemy. Thoughts can be used to our advantage, instead of simply killing them. Here, we do not use breath work. We do not activate the kundalini, or our chakras. We do not do chantings, too. Why use the mind? Why think at all? There is an old notion that the mind is the slayer of the real, especially in mystical traditions. But in our meditation, we consider the mind as a useful tool. The struggle between these two competing approaches dates back centuries ago, as can be seen in these two tarot cards. Take note of the design of Papus card in the left side. It was drawn during the Dark Ages, when the Church demonized thinking to control the minds of the masses. The dog is biting the leg of the fool. While in the modern tarot card in the right side, the dog can be seen as friendly and a companion of the fool. By the way, the dog symbolizes the rational mind. So, how do we use the active mind as a tool for meditation? Let us go back to the triadic spiritual principles we studied earlier. We have here monad, which emanated itself as the spiritual triad, which is then reflected further down to the three-dimensional worlds. To manifest these spiritual principles, the divine emanated and prepared the 7 spiritual dimensions or planes to house itself. From the divine plane, down to the physical plane which is visible. Thus, we need 7 bodies too, as vehicles of consciousness, so we can function in those planes of existence. And take note of the location of the soul. It is within the magnetic field of our mental body, which is represented by the blue ovoid. An important concept here related to meditation is to take a look at the soul, represented by the yellow lotus in the diagram. It is the middle point between the spiritual triad and the personality. Take note again that the soul is located in the mental plane. It is in the gap of consciousness between the lower concrete mind and the higher abstract mind. Take a look at the threads or bridges that link the lower and the higher mental planes. Esoteric teachings say that there are 2 classifications of the threads. The first is the life thread, also called the suratma. This is naturally occurring that connects us to our divine spirit within. Plants and animals do have this, too. The second category of thread is called the antakharana. This is not natural and is built consciously by the evolving human. Plant and animals do not have it because they do not have free will and their mind is still in the embryonic stage. This thread is made up of mental matter or mind stuff, so it is only through the use of the mind that it can be constructed. As humans, we have it but it is thin and undeveloped. It is up to us to make it grow and develop, so that we can connect ourselves to our souls fully. Kundalini activation practices can build this bridge or thread through brute force. But it is like playing with fire. One might get burned in the process without a spiritual master to guide us personally. Comparatively, esoteric meditation is safe. Yes, it is slow but sure way to develop the antakharana safely on our own, while waiting for the spiritual masters to come when we are ready. Many people say, I am thinking all the time, so, how is it different from meditation? That is true, and is the reason why we all have this thread, no matter how thin or undeveloped it is. But let us define thinking first. Thinking is the ability of the mind to create new thoughts or ideas. The academe calls this higher order thinking. Most of our day-to-day thinking simply involve repetition of thought cliches and routine procedures. Part of it is mostly recalled memories. And we just use our mind like a computer program that categorizes and analyzes data. We seldom use it to create original thoughts. Policy decision makers, scientists, researchers, creative people, etc. do it all the time as part of their job. But most of us use creative thinking only when confronted with a major problem that needs urgent solutions or life-changing decisions. This type of creative thinking uses the higher abstract mind, and the one needed to flex and develop our mental muscles, and consequently, the antakharana. As mentioned before, some people, even if they are not meditators or have no esoteric knowledge, can develop their antakharana unconsciously due to the nature of their jobs. It is like a person who works with heavy machinery, or in carpentry. The person develops and builds his bodily muscles, even without going into the gym for a regular workout. So, there is a solution for the rest of us who do not do these specialized jobs on a day-to-day basis. We use meditation to exercise our higher and creative mind. The trick, according to esoteric teachings, is the use of an abstract seed thought as part of our daily meditation. In this illustration, we are meditating on a seed thought or an abstract idea. This is not the same as chanting or repeating a mantra continuously, which has a different objective. Also take note of the antakharana in the diagram, extending from the crown upwards to the soul. When the mind meditates regularly, the substance of the lower and higher mental plane is vibrated and is flexed so it develops faster. Regular use of a seed thought, as a side effect, tends to refine our character because low-grade thought forms are replaced with more lofty ones. The antakharana also grows bigger and wider as we meditate, enabling the soul to communicate with us and direct us to our life's purpose. Once alignment with our soul is established, our higher self will help us build a higher part of the antakharana to connect with the divine spirit within. To do that, our soul will introduce us to our ashramic guides or spiritual masters who will continue our higher spiritual training. It is only through the initiation of these masters of wisdom that Kundalini development can begin in a safe manner. When our seed thought grows, it automatically becomes a magnet for thought of similar quality by the principle of the law of attraction. We can come into contact with high-grade ideas, original thoughts, blueprints and archetypes, existing in the higher planes. We also get a glimpse of the plan, which is the blueprint of our planetary evolution. When doing group meditation as a service activity, the spiritual hierarchy also transmit messages and ideas to us as a group which can be useful for human progress. These are called downloads or intuitive insights. But this works two-way. The meditating group also creates powerful thought forms in the higher planes so that other thinkers, creatives, leaders can tap or tune in into, unconsciously, during their eureka moments. Finally, for the last question, can self or divine realization be also achieved without using the mind or thoughts? Esoteric teaching says yes. Other spiritual systems of meditation are valid, as well. The only difference is that in esoteric meditation, the esotericist is being trained to be a knower. Whereas in mystical types of meditation, the mystic will become a lover of the divine, just like many Christian and Eastern saints. And the potentialities of the mind to create a better world for everyone will not be fully utilized. It is like having a sophisticated iPhone 7, but we only use it to send and receive voice calls.
In this final slide, we suggest books that will jumpstart your esoteric meditation practice, if you are interested to pursue this path. Take note of the titles and authors.